The last podcast I did.
Let's kick things off. Let's get the show on the road.
Side story. 98, our currency's collapsing. I'm in Mozambique. I pull out ZAR. They're like, no, we don't take ZAR.
Our local market long-term. I would certainly have the champagne in the fridge and definitely cool.
On ice. Always been of the view that we need a sovereign wealth fund in South Africa. Market matters. Live stream. I'm Jimmy Moyad.
And I'm Simon Brown.
Welcome to Insider Exchange.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Insider Exchange. Welcome to Market Matters, live streamed for your viewing pleasure and listening pleasure every Monday morning, with the rest of the show set to follow later in the week. This week, we start off the new month, we start off new expectations, and we make a couple of changes to the show. We're officially going to be dropping coffee because, well, spring's arrived and we're going to replace it with something else. We'd love to know what you think we should replace it with, and then stick around to see what we do replace it with next week. But on the show this week, we are taking a look at the latest decision by the US Appeals Court to declare tariffs in the US illegal. Yes, some justice system in the US has declared that Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal. We're going to be taking a look at that in Market Matters. In our deep dive, we're going to be diving into the delisting of Curro Holdings, the school that has come to be known for many, many things, amongst other things, providing good quality education. Whether or not we agree with the costing of that education, we've had that conversation as well. But Curro has decided that they are delisting, and we are going to be looking at that delisting because it is quite a remarkable turn of events considering what is unfolding there. And then in our Investor Insights, we're going to be taking a look at the decision by the South African Reserve Bank to buy something. This is the first time our South African Reserve Bank has bought anything, and it is something of note. We're going to be taking a look at that in our Investor Insights and, of course, sharing our unfiltered opinion of the week. So, before we get to...
They also haven't bought gold in 20 years.
That's true.
25. But carry on.
Gold, which is another thing, right? As a gold-producing nation, surely our gold reserves should be right up there with everybody else's. Yet we produce it and just ship it off to everyone else.
You would think. No, whole thing's weird.
Whole thing's very, very weird. I saw something on TikTok that was a couple of AI-generated images. Now, I know you love AI. It was, and the caption of the pictures were Durban without corruption. And it was particularly interesting to me because I know you're such a huge fan of the Durban region, and I want to show you the pictures. And I want to get your thoughts around whether or not you agree with it. So you can just scroll that way with the pictures. Tell me if that's what you imagine Durban would look like. And under what conditions?
No, this should be Durban, right? Warm ocean. Okay, they've moved the stadium, which is weird. Yeah, the stadium's back there, guys. But hey, you know what? I mean, whatevs. Love me this city. Okay, and that's a building from New York. I mean, there's some semantics to it. But, ooh, fancy bullet train. Durban should be, I mean, you can buy a 3-level, 200+ square meter penthouse apartment for like 7, 8, 10 million ZAR. That should be $7, 8, $10 million. I mean, you're right on the beach. It is warm. It is beautiful. It is, everything about it is absolutely epic. I don't understand. Like, yeah. But I mean, so Durban was loved back in the days. I mean, way back in the days. You know, what was that song from the Kramer Man, Off to the Beach or something? I forget. Hey, even I'm too old to remember it now. The Foxy one, Foxy Bus in my... Anyway. I mean, it should be, right? You've got that amazing beachfront that people should just live at. There is 2 challenges with Durban's beach. A, it's East Coast, which means it's shady in the afternoon and you don't get sunset over the ocean. So, like, if you want to watch the sun, you got to be up for breakfast. Yeah. And 2, it's a rough sea. It's not a pleasant, you know, it's like... It's not the Mediterranean where you can go and lie and be all chill and stuff. Like, you got to swim that sea. Like that sea makes you do the hard work. Yeah.
But it is the warmer of the 2 oceans if we're looking at the oceans that border our coast.
I mean, when I was down there just the other day, it was you know, in the mornings, like the air temperature's like, I don't know, 16, 17. The water's 19. It's warmer in the water.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Durban could do with a makeover and a facelift. And I remember, I was there last week as well. It did look. I think the one thing I appreciate about some of these cities and some of South Africa is if you travel there often enough, it kind of looks the same, right? So it doesn't. Not a lot changes. But there are some changes coming about there, and there are some interesting changes, especially with the Club Med development happening on that side of the world, which we'll take a look at some point. I suppose we should do a deep dive into that and the merits around. Perhaps we do that. Perhaps we do property throughout South Africa. I think I've got a property specialist that we might be able to speak to about all of that. She does some really good work as well. But that is not the focus of today's conversation. Today we are taking a look at the developments out of the US. Last week was Nvidia results. This week we've got non-farm payrolls numbers. And coming into this week, the US Appeals Court declared tariffs illegal. Quite literally, they came out and said that the basis upon which the tariffs had been implemented was not legal, and therefore the tariffs themselves are illegal. Now,
T's and C's.
yes, T's and C's. There's 2 points I want to get into that. I want to get into the court side of it, but also what companies have been doing in the interim. I found out some interesting stuff. Let's get into the legalities first, right? So the US Appeals Court that President Trump has not been happy with. To be fair, he hasn't been happy with the entire judicial system because none of them are voting the way he would like them to vote. And this is probably going to send him into a tailspin as well. And
they thought he was dead, but it turned out he wasn't.
Right? You saw that as well. I thought I was the only one that saw that. There were raging debates online.
But of course, the fun fact is that they then prove he's not dead by showing him golfing. It's like, why don't you show him working? Okay.
For him, that is working, apparently.
Carry on with your story.
So the U.S. Appeals Court has come out to, I don't want to say invalidate tariffs, because the reality is tariffs are still in effect, but they've declared that the basis upon which these tariffs have been thrust upon the world under the guise of urgent economic...
Yeah, so he did an emergency declarative order, which means that he gives them power to do tariffs.
Yes, which is almost the equivalent of a national state of emergency, if you were to think about it, in South Africa's terms. Right?
So that our president can get to the soccer game quick. I mean, that's your analogy.
That's basically what he's done here. So the US Appeals Court has declared that it wasn't an emergency for him to do this, and therefore the tariffs themselves are illegal. However, the tariffs still stand.
Well, so the judge said that the tariffs will stand until such time as this has worked its way through an appeal process and everything. The judge also, it was relatively narrow, so it's certain tariffs that were declared, and I forget, there's so many, but it's a lot of them. But for example, it wouldn't save India, because as India tariffs are different. It wouldn't save steel and aluminium tariffs and stuff. So it's narrow. But, I mean, the bigger story is twofold. One is Trump is prone to just ignore the courts. And two, I mean, tariffs are supposed to be the purveyors of Congress. Now, there are the exclusions, which is Trump is using, because, in the time of war, you maybe not be able to get Congress together, I don't know, whatever, and then give the president some power. But, I mean, the bigger challenge is that Congress is just sitting back and doing
nothing. Well, so people that are not sitting back, businesses. So businesses have found quite an interesting way to get around the tariffs. Now, I don't know if I blame them per se, given the nature upon which these things have been imposed. And the fact that there was no consultation, right? There was no real measurement of impact and this. There was no assessment done by the White House, by Orange Mussolini, by anyone to determine the lasting impact of this. It was just, we're going to do this, right?
Yes.
So businesses have reacted, particularly US businesses that are importing, that are going to be subject to these tariffs and paying for these tariffs, have taken a unique approach. I say unique because, folks, if you've been with us long enough, you know what we mean by the words unique and innovative in this context. So, much like and I want to use this as a comparative because I know Orange Mussolini would never allow this.
Okay.
Do you remember a time where the Mexican cartels started pivoting their business models into controlling the avocado markets? It was fairly recent, but it was an amazing
I do
pivot.
remember that, yeah.
Right.
Because avos were going crazy.
Exactly. And they're like, hey, well, we can do that, right? So,
Okay.
think along those lines, folks. Travel with me. So, US company that is importing has a shell company set up. The shell company, not financial advice, not me. This is what they're doing. I'm just telling you. We're just bringing you the news. As Cat Williams once said, we run in, we infiltrate, we come back, we report everything to you. So, US company sets up the shell company. The shell company then transacts with the foreign entity, importing the tariffs and all of that. There is a loophole in the tariff regime and the tariff structure. There's a couple of loopholes, right? So there's one loophole around first sale and all of those other things. But this one allows them to then import and delay a tariff payment by up to 90 days. So in that 90 days, companies import as much as they can, rack up $2, $3, $5 million worth of tariffs, right? Come time to pay the tariff, you file for bankruptcy. Now,
Chapter 7.
now, see, I find it quite serendipitous that the Chapter 7 bankruptcy that is being used by companies is a
And
page.
7 is important because 7 is there's no hope. 11 is we will restructure.
Is a page out of the book of none other than the United States president. I just happen to find that so... my OCD's happy.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, Apple can't do that, surely.
Why not? I can set up a shell company
Because they're going to have to
outside
give,
of South,
they're gonna have to
outside
give-
of the US.
Mind you, and then they give Trump another gold bar. Because gold bar, I mean, as long as the numbers are the right way around, you give him another gold bar and everyone's happy.
The other thing you can do, I mean, for a business like Apple, right? Think about the scale and size of Apple and the size of Nvidia and all of that. Yes, chip imports at the moment, the tariffs are suspended on that. But think of an Nvidia, right? If you're going to use you could take it a step further. You can use Trump's golden visa, the $5 million visa, whatever, right? You put down $5 million, you get a golden visa into the US. Great, lovely, fine, whatever. You get a non-US citizen as a director to do that, set up the shell company in their name, have all of the stuff dealt with by them, and even if you pay that individual an extra $5 million, you now have paid $10 million as Apple to import how much?
Yeah.
Because there's no limit on what you can bring in.
Yeah.
Right? You're racking up the tariff in that 90-day period. Look,
Yeah.
US businesses are doing this. We don't know why they're doing this. Well, actually, we do know why. It's all very clear why they're doing this. We're just going to sit here and report the news to you because that's what's happening. Very creative, eh? Very interesting
Yeah.
way to get around this tariff conversation.
Yeah. No, and look, the short answer is that there's going to be heaps of this. So the other one is you ship it to a low tariff country
Yes.
and then you bounce it.
That's the rule of first sale, right? So depending on where the first sale happens, when the secondary sale happens as well, it's a separate loophole in the tax
Yeah.
structuring in the US. Sometimes the US companies then sell it to a smaller company and then buy it from them again and then sell it on to the consumer, and therefore the consumer doesn't pay the big bulk tariff. The first buyer being the first country, they pay off that tariff. So
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very...
They're going to be all over the place. I mean, it's going to become an entire industry. The key challenge is it's changing fast. I mean, who knows what it'll be. Although it's got a little bit boring and no one, it seems to have kind of moved on a bit. But yeah, I mean, you're 100% right.
Do you think that President Trump has now gone the route of just playing golf and keeping quiet because he's run out of ideas about what, or is he thinking, what is the next executive order I can sign?
Are you thinking what he can sign next? Yeah. He very much likes executive orders. No, everyone stands there and someone reads it out to him and he gets this big Cokie and
I don't know who gives him that cookie, right?
he buys them by the truckload. They must be made local, hey? I'm surely made. Mind you, nothing in his campaign is made in America. So then he gets to Cokie it and stuff, and people, I mean, like, yeah. No, I think he's
This is
definitely
wild.
looking for more executive orders.
This is wild, and we still have more than 1,200 days of this presidency left, folks. We still
We have
have
a long time.
we have a lot to go. We have barely made it through. I don't even think we've made it through. Yeah, we've barely made it through the first 6 months of his
Yeah,
presidency.
we're heading
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Getting there. It's felt like a lot longer, but perhaps that's how the markets will then react. Speaking of the markets, let's move to results. We got Nvidia results last week. We've got a couple of other companies reporting results this week. Nvidia results coming in, exceeding expectations. And even then, this is what we spoke about last week, was unless there is something dramatic out of the Nvidia results, we're not going to really see a big market movement. But the results were impressive. I mean, for a business like Nvidia, that is less than the age of all of its competitors and all of that sort of stuff, it would be one of the newest businesses, right? For it to be the most valued business in the United States at the moment, right? If I'm not mistaken, market cap of Nvidia should exceed the market cap of Apple by now.
Yeah, no, it's 4 trillion. It's by a long way the biggest.
There
it
we
was
go.
formed in April 1993.
Formed in April of 1993, but only really hit its stride recently in the last 5-10 years, right? But hit its stride in such a big way that, if I remember correctly, I think they said something like quarterly revenue numbers or something just shy of 50 billion, so 45 odd billion US dollars per quarter.
To be clear, per quarter.
That's 4 times a year that you put out that number.
Yeah, and insane margins, insane growth. I mean, the year-on-year growth was around 50%. Just insane numbers all over the place. What the market wasn't overly thrilled with was forward guidance, which was nice, but they're losing sales to China on their H20s. More importantly, is that Trump has said that maybe they can sell the H20s to China, but that he must get 15%. And then Scott Bassett went out and said that they're selling useless kit to China. And that got Xi Jinping to then put the word out that you mustn't buy the American chips because and it's to be clear what the H20 does. So it's inference. It's not the initial design of your large language model. It's the answering of the question. And China, Huawei and others are getting some stuff happening there. So yeah, yes.
You bring up China, and it's so interesting because, first of all, there's a gathering taking place in China at the moment with pretty much the whole of the East. And when I say the whole of the East, I include North Korea. This is the first.
Oh, is North Korea there?
This
I
is
did
the
not know
first
that.
time that North Korea has attended anything. And just
Okay.
imagine the conversation that's happening right now on the eastern side of the world with China, India, Russia, North Korea, and everybody else saying that it's time to work together and collaborate. And this is largely being driven by the fact that we have United States tariffs.
And I'll read you what Modi said, who's India. Excellent meeting with Putin, discussed ways with Putin to deepen bilateral cooperation in all sectors, including trade, fertilizer, space, security, enhanced views with Putin on peaceful resolution to conflict. Privileged strategic partnership remains pillar of regional and global stability. Now, of course, India is also buying cheap oil from Russia. But
It's okay
this
because Modi at the same time wished Prime Minister Netanyahu a happier birthday. So Israel's not really as mad at them for buying Russian oil. It's okay.
Okay, and Modi says wild stuff is what you said. Never quite trust the man.
Crazy out there.
But yes, it is the new world order forming under our eyes.
That's it. And the United States, for all they're worth, talking about wanting to prevent this. President Trump talking about wanting to prevent the formation of BRICS, and BRICS is anti-US, and BRICS is anti-dollar, and all of that. All you've succeeded in doing is accelerating its formation and accelerating its strength. Because let's be clear, for a dictator in Kim Jong-un to come out of his country and say, hey guys, I want to be at the party too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. That is absolutely wild.
Yes. Yes.
That's absolutely. I've got nothing else. Okay, let's wrap things up with a look at this week. This week we've got non-farms payrolls coming out of the United States. The big question here is not whether or not the jobs numbers are going to hit or miss, whether or not unemployment is going to go up or down. It is whether or not President Trump will fire the new person if the numbers are
Is the
wrong.
new person in yet?
I don't know,
No,
but they could be fired before they get in.
They could.
Because the numbers are
They
wrong.
are a Senate-approved, or Congress, I think Senate-approved, and Senate's been on holiday.
And we're set to vote for.
So now it's little Freddie down in the I don't know, in the canteen.
He's
who's
coming
putting
out of the
these-
mailroom
he's
with
making
the numbers.
Yeah, hey, I found numbers.
Freddie doesn't know what he's in for.
Freddie has no idea. I mean, yeah. It is because you notice, I mean, gold is trading up just off all-time highs. Friday's close was at the highest weekly close ever. Finally so liberation tariffs, early April, gold jumps and kind of been in a fairly wide range of about 33 to maybe 34.5 ever since.
Yes.
And looks to be breaking. And that's the PCE data on Friday was benign, but you don't want benign when your central bank's taking their eye off that ball. And jobs started this week.
That's it. And we are expecting a rate cut. I mean, that is all
Yeah,
but priced in at some
17th.
point, right? So, yeah. And end of this week, on the 6th, the US Fed, so all Fed members, will go into almost a blackout period, right?
Yes.
So it'll be similar to how companies go into, we call it something locally. We call it the word has escaped me now.
Closed period.
Closed period, right. We call it a closed period in South Africa, where companies don't engage with the media, engage with the public ahead of significant announcements. The US Fed blackout period happens from the 6th until we get the rates decision in September. And to that effect, we have 4 Fed members speaking this week. We also have the fact that one of the Fed governors has stepped down. I forgot her name. She's set to be replaced, and Trump is trying to fast-track that replacement, obviously ahead of the rates decision, hoping that it'll influence the rate cut that we might see in September. Now, rate cut or not, whatever happens in that respect, the US is very clear. They've made their policy shift known at Jackson Hole. And if the jobs numbers come out this week and shock that, I don't think that it really is going to make much of a difference who is elected. Jerome Powell's not going to budge.
Correct.
But if he doesn't, and we skip September, October, November, December are now...
There's no October meet.
There's no
November.
October. Yes, there's no October meet. So September, November, and then we're back in January for the next meet. So if we don't get a cut now, we would have gone from 6 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't look pretty.
And that's kind of what happened last year. Remember when we thought there were going to be, not we, they thought there was going to be 6, not you, other they.
Other theys.
Thought there was going to be a 6 cuts last year too, and we got like 3.
There we
And
go.
Right at the end, at the end. So we got September, November, December.
Yeah.
And then crickets.
Well, that's what's going to come out in the month of September. Clearly, we're going to have a very busy month. Even in that, I think we have our own rates decision
The day after the Fed.
the day after the
18th.
US Fed.
And then on the 19th, I go on holiday. Just saying.
September might
Too
be a bit
much.
choppy. Yes, speaking of holidays, September might be a bit choppy for us because the week prior to that, I might not be around. So Sai and I would have to navigate this very carefully, but we'll do our best to give you all of the insights and everything that we can in the month of September. Stick around with us, folks. Remember, we are changing things up with our cups. We're not going to be doing names on coffee cups anymore because it's no longer coffee season. But Simon's got a
Didn't know-
very interesting suggestion. We might get into that.
Didn't know coffee had seasons.
Didn't know coffee had seasons. Well, I just figured it might get too warm and we might just end up with... Yeah, just seems like it's...
You weren't born in Durban, were you?
I wasn't.
Ah, there we go.
I
That
wasn't.
explains it. No, okay, that's fine.
But I do know what warmth is like because Limpopo is equally as warm.
Actually, Limpopo might be hotter. In fact, the hottest I've been was Limpopo, right up on the border, 50 degrees.
There you go.
50.
go.
I was
See?
going to go see a baobab.
It's a weird reason to go to Limpopo. But see, it works. It works. And we're going to leave the conversation on that note. Shout out to our TikTok community. We have not forgotten about you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for jumping onto the live stream, everyone. We're going to get into our deep dive into our investor insights. And of course, that will be followed through later in this week. But for now, that's Market Matters.